Hey everyone, welcome to another interactive English lesson. My name is Wes, and at this channel, we're all about helping you practice and improve your English skills. And if you are new here, please write to me. Let me know in the comments. I just love hearing from all of you guys, but especially new people to our channel. So what we're going to talk about today it's a lesson to help you build your vocabulary, because we're going to be talking about specific jobs and occupations. Now, the first thing you may be wondering is, well, what's the difference between a job and an occupation? They're basically synonyms. I think overwhelmingly people use the word job much more than they would occupation. I think the word occupation is a little more formal, which is why you may find it if you are filling out some kind of form or an application. It may ask you for your occupation, but they're essentially the same thing. So we're going to talk about certain words that describe somebody's job or their occupation. And I think this is very useful because this is something that people talk about all the time. If you want to, well, share and talk about your own job, or maybe talk about your dream job. So it's useful vocabulary for you to know. So the way that I'm going to do this is before I show you the job or the occupation, I'm going to give you some clues and see if you can think of the word I'm talking about, and then I will show you the word. And what I want you guys to do, who are in the chat, if you want to practice, participate as we go through these different jobs and professions, maybe write, what do you think about this job? What do you think about this profession? What words would you use to describe it? Is it scary? If it's something that is, maybe you think it's very boring, all right? So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Lali, Angela, Mitni, Lucia, Shia, Abdurrahman, Mandi, Learning with Mayron, Lessons, excellent, Kareem, Mohammed. Thank you guys for joining me today. So let's just go into our first word. So, and it's going to go from easier to more difficult. So I've tried to go make this list from beginner to advanced. So we're going to start out a little easier. And this is a job that somebody would have at the beach. And if this person, they work at the beach and they're supposed to make sure that everyone is safe. All right. I hope that you were thinking that this word is a lifeguard. So a lifeguard is somebody, if you travel to the ocean and you are at a very popular beach, there is a good chance that you will see these people, lifeguards, working at the beach. Usually, I don't know if it's just in the United States or other countries too. I always think that they're wearing red, that they have a red swimsuit, and that is a lifeguard, all right? The next word, the next job is somebody who, well, works with languages. And what they would do is they would interpret one language for another person. And this is a job that maybe many of you, you're learning English, perhaps you're learning other languages, and maybe you would like to have this job. And you go with somebody to some type of meeting and you listen in one language and then you tell what that person is saying to another person. What would you call that? Exactly. Yes. KDWD. Perfect. We're talking about somebody who is a translator. A translator. This is it's a noun. So in this case, I was talking about a person whose job is a translator, but the verb to translate from one language into another is also a very common word. You could say interpreter as well. That's perfectly fine. Translator, interpreter. They mean the same thing. I think translator might be a little more common, a little more official. All right. The next job is, this is a person who works in somebody's home, and they go to the home if they're going to fix maybe some of the pipes, or maybe there's a problem with the toilet. Who would you call if you have a problem with your toilet or your sink? You would call this person, all right? What do you guys think? I hope that you said that you would call a plumber. So a plumber is a person who works with like I said, they work around the home. If somebody needed to fix anything that would have pipes, like the toilet or the sink or the shower, and you would want to contact a plumber. The next job is somebody who works with money. All right, that's your key word right there, money. All right, somebody who works with money, and they end up doing a lot of math. Most businesses have somebody who does this position, and they work with they work with money and finances to make sure that that everything adds up. And you would want this person, or if you want help with your own money or finances, you might want to contact this type of person. Excellent English vibes. I'm talking about, yes, Yamila Mohammed, an accountant. So again, I think it's a very common job, and there are different types of accountants. Most businesses will have an accountant. So this is something that maybe if you work in this job, you say, yeah, I'm an accountant. All right. The next job that I want to talk to you guys about is it's an animal doctor. All right. That's all I'm going to say, is a doctor for animals, specifically a doctor for pets. All right. What would you call this person who is a doctor for pets? I think many of you may be familiar with this job, this profession. Somebody who works with pets and they are a doctor, they are a veterinarian. All right. A veterinarian, a person who takes care of animals, cats, dogs, birds, and yes, excellent. Lolly, English vibes, Kathy, perfect. I know most of the time this word is shortened to vet. Because it is a longer word, the pronunciation, veterinarian, can be a little challenging. That T, V-E-T-E-R, that T is kind of pronounced as a D, like especially in the United States, it's that flap T sound, which is more of a D, veterinarian. So a vet or a veterinarian. The next job is... this person works with the law. And specifically, they work in a courtroom. And this person would be the leader of the courtroom, pretty much the boss of the courtroom. And what this person would do is they would listen and they make decisions in regard to the law. Perhaps if somebody is guilty or not guilty, or if there's a jury, this is the person who would kind of be the leader for the jury if the jury is going to make a decision. So this was the person in the courtroom who is the leader, who will maybe make the decisions. That's the key word. They would make the decisions if something is guilty or not. All right. I think this one maybe threw some people off, because if I'm talking about somebody who makes the decisions of whether somebody is guilty or not guilty, in that case, we're talking about a judge. So a judge would be the leader of a courtroom. I know some people put down lawyer. A lawyer is a person who works with the law, and they would represent someone else. And a lawyer would argue if perhaps a person is either guilty or not guilty, and they would make that argument to a judge, who would be pretty much the boss of the courtroom. Judge would be the boss of the courtroom. If you are just joining us right now, we are going over 25 different jobs and occupations, which is a great way to build your vocabulary, because we talk about work quite often. All right, the next job is, it's going to get a little more difficult as we go through this. This is a person who works with meat. All right, they work with meat, like beef, lamb, chicken. And it's typically like a small shop, and this is where you would go to buy meat. And the person that works there, we call them what? And often I think of this person as somebody who would, have like a knife, especially like one of those cleavers, those big giant knives. And you would call them, excellent, Lali, Lila, English vibes, perfect. We're talking about a butcher. Somebody who is a butcher, works with meat, And this is where this is the person that you would buy meat from. You would go see the butcher. And sometimes it's in a smaller shop. Other times, I think in perhaps a grocery store, there is a butcher and you would go and buy the meat there. The next job is this person works in a building, or perhaps they work in a school, and it's the person that would clean the building. So they would mop the floors, they would clean the windows, they might take out the trash. So it's a very common job because in any type of office building, you need these people. So that you have this person would work at an office building, they'd work at a school, they would work at an airport. And what do you call that person who would be responsible for cleaning that building and making sure that everything is clean? All right. Excellent. Yes, Kathy, Alex. I'm talking about a janitor, or you could also say a custodian. That's another word. I think more commonly people would talk about a janitor, somebody who's cleaning a building. Somebody mentioned maybe a housekeeper. One difference would be a housekeeper is really just going to work in a home. This is specifically talking about somebody who would work in an office building, or an airport would have a janitor, schools, and they would be responsible for cleaning. Excellent. Yes, Rod. Perfect. You could also say cleaner as well. I think if somebody, cleaner could be a lot of different things, but I think if somebody specifically said that they work as a janitor, then you know that they are cleaning some building or some office. All right. Hey, what's up, Silvio? Excellent. Rod, glad you guys can join us. So let's continue. And I think they're getting a little more difficult. Perhaps some of you may be familiar with many of these, and that's great. It's always good to review. So the next job is somebody who would help people buy a home. So if you are looking for a home and you want to buy a home, you would contact this person. This person does not own the home, but they are the person who would help facilitate the sale of a home. So this person technically works with both the homeowner and any person who would be interested in buying the home. So think about it that way. If you want to buy a home, who would you contact? Which person would you call? So the word, yes, excellent. What I have, because again, there's a few different words you could use, but the word I was looking for, the profession that I'm looking for, is a real estate agent. So a real estate agent is who you would call if you want to buy a home, and they would take you around and they would show you different homes that might be for sale. You could also say a realtor as well. That it means the same thing, but a real estate agent, specifically person who would help people find a home to buy. The next word, this is it's a doctor. If you have to do something, it's very serious, and you go into the doctor and they may have to open you up. If they open you up and they have to fix something, I'm trying to use words so that I don't give away the answer. What would you call that type of doctor? It's something that would definitely be more serious, and you would go into a doctor, perhaps you go into the hospital, and if they have to open up the body and do some work, this person is a surgeon. Excellent. You guys rock that. Lali, Mahmood, Mahdi. So surgery, remember, a surgeon is the person specifically. It's the person who's doing the operation. Surgery is the noun, which is talking about the process. And somebody would say that they have to have surgery, or I'm going to get surgery, and they're going to go through that process. But surgeon is the job. All right. The next profession that I want to talk to you about, the next occupation, is somebody who would design a home. So the person that would design either a home or a building, what would you call this person? What is their job? They would do quite a bit of math, and they would make an outline of the home or the building. And this is before you would start construction, before you actually start building this home or this office. This is the person that you would need to talk to, and they're the ones who do the design. And I am talking about an architect. Yes, you would want to contact an architect. Great job, Raj, Lali, Eloisa, Yamila. Perfect. All right, excellent. Try to give some shout outs here when I can. So an architect is the person who would do the design. The next job, moving into sports a little bit. So what would you call the person who is making decisions in baseball? All right, so think about baseball, that specific sport. And this is the person who makes sure that the rules are followed. And I'm telling you to think of baseball, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. So the person whose job it is to make sure that both teams are following the rules, this person makes sure. This is the person that would enforce the rules as well. What would you call that person in baseball? All right. Do we have any baseball fans out there? So some of you are putting referee, and the reason I chose baseball is because it's a different word. This person is the referee for baseball, but we don't call them the referee. I saw one right answer. I think Alex is the person who gave me the answer. I'm talking about an umpire. So in most sports, if you're talking about football, like soccer or American football, basketball, the person is called a referee. They make sure that both teams follow the rules and they enforce the rules. In baseball, that person is called an umpire. All right. I don't know why it's different, but again, that's why I was trying to tell you, focus a little more on baseball, but we would call that person an umpire. All right. Let's continue, get a little more difficult. At least I think some of them might be a little easier. So this is a person who drives a car for a living, and they would drive another person. And I usually think that this person could work for a business that would drive people to different places, perhaps drive people to the airport, or they could work with a specific person or a specific family, and they would drive that family around. What do you think? What would you call that person? I hope that you said, yes, Lolly, excellent. I hope that you said chauffeur. A chauffeur is a occupation in which someone is driving a car for a living. And again, it could be that they work for a person, a family, or even a business, and they would drive people around. I think you could say that somebody is a driver, but chauffeur is more specific because a driver, I don't know, it could be for driving for anything. Maybe maybe you're a NASCAR driver, I don't know, and you're doing it for sports. So the next job that I have is, this is a person who works with flowers, and they work at a shop that sells flowers. So sometimes I might go buy roses for my wife, and I would go to this store and I buy some roses, and I would talk to what person works at this type of store. They sell flowers. And I think this is a job that, I don't know how common it is, but it's certainly something that I think we all deal with. If there is some type of holiday or special occasion, we might want to buy flowers for someone, and you would go see a florist. Excellent. You guys rocking that. Yes, nice. Many of you got that one. So a florist is a person that would sell flowers. The next word that I have is, this person works at a university, and it would be the person who is the head of the university. What would you call that person who is at the very top, the leader of the university? is what this person would be called. And specifically, I'm talking about a university. And again, I think even within a university, there are different departments. And even the head of a department could also have this name. But the person who is the head of the university's administration. I'm going to add that word in there. I'm talking about the university's administration, and you would call that person the dean. Excellent. Wow. Supple, Busakarn. Sorry, all these people flying by. Excellent. So again, when I think of a school in general, like a high school, then I would think of maybe a principal or even a headmaster. But if we're specifically talking about a university, the head of a university would be referred to as the dean of the university, or you could say the president as well. The next word that I have for you is this person works in this person would drive an ambulance, or they ride in an ambulance. So in general, I guess they would work for the hospital, and the person that would either drive the ambulance or they would ride along in the ambulance, and they would go pick people up who are sick or injured, and they try to help these people. What is the name of that person who works in an ambulance? All right. And if you don't know what an ambulance is, it is that car that you would see at a hospital that would go around and try to, if there was an emergency, you would call and tell somebody to send the ambulance, and these people work in the ambulance. All right. Close. We got a couple people. Hamzi85, Anathosius, Maria. The person is called a paramedic. So a paramedic would be somebody, I would say, that works in an ambulance, because there's no real difference between the person driving and another person who is riding along. Both people are trained medically to help others. So it doesn't matter whether somebody's driving or riding in the back or wherever, they are all paramedics. And that person is called a paramedic. All right. Let's continue. The next job is somebody who works with, the mail, and this person would deliver boxes to people. I think most of the time they deliver boxes. I guess they could deliver envelopes. And I would say that this is a more formal position, and it's a position that somebody would have if I want to send a box in the mail, and I really want to make sure that it gets there, I might hire this person to bring this box to this other place. Or even if you have something that you want to deliver, even if it's not a box, and you want to bring something important or bring something valuable to another place, you are going to hire this person because they are a professional at traveling from one place to the next, all right? So the profession that I'm talking about is a courier, all right? And the difference between a courier and a mailman, I think a courier is this is a bit more formal. It's a bit more of a professional position. So if I wanted to send something very valuable in the mail, I might not go to the post office because I might be a little worried that they're going to lose it, something's going to go wrong. But you can go see, if you want to pay a little extra money and it costs more, you can bring it to a courier. And this is the person who is responsible for delivering a box, or it could be other items as well. But typically I think of something that is more expensive, or perhaps it's like a document that is very important and you want to make sure it gets there. You're probably going to hire a courier. All right. The next job is somebody who would work at a hotel, and this person would be responsible for helping people bring their luggage from their car to the hotel room. Often you might find this person around the lobby. They help customers. They help people that are staying at the hotel, and typically they would bring the luggage to the person's room, and they wheel around those carts What do you call this person? I used to work at a hotel. This was one of my first jobs, and you would bring luggage to people's rooms. What do you call that person who would bring luggage? Yes, Christina, Eloisa, La Eternidad. So typically, the word that I have is a bellhop. You may hear the word bellboy as well. That's another very common word. But a bellhop is just general because I don't know. I think bellboy, you could say that for boys. If a girl had that job, because then you could say a bell girl. A bellhop could be for either a man or a woman. But a bellhop, they wheel around. You can see those little carts with the luggage on it, and they would bring it to people's rooms. The next word, the next job is this is a person that works outside and they would try to discover ancient artifacts. So for example, if this person they're trying to learn a little bit more about history or some city or some building, they would go there and they would try to dig up these ancient artifacts or ancient ruins in order to learn more about it. What do you call that person? It is kind of a type of science, I guess you could say. It would fall under that category. But somebody who would, and I guess even like dinosaur bones, that would be the same thing. But somebody who would work more with history. Yes, exactly. I think you guys got it. Specifically, we're talking about, I said they work outside, an archeologist. Except this, I don't know if I would, this is a fake archeologist, Indiana Jones. That's not really the life of an archeologist, going around and having all these adventures. I think an archeologist's job looks more like this, where you are outside and you are digging slowly, trying to discover some parts of a building or bones or anything. I think it is maybe a very tedious job that takes a long time. So the next job that I have is, okay, this is the person, well, very specifically, this is the person who is the leader of an orchestra. So somebody who is part of an orchestra that would play music, but the person who is the leader, and everybody watches this person so they know when to start playing and when to stop playing, and they're the ones who lead the orchestra. You would call them what? I hope that you guys are thinking of this person is called a conductor. All right, excellent. So the person who leads an orchestra would be a conductor. You could also say the word maestro. I was trying to look up the difference between a conductor and a maestro. It said a maestro is more of a famous conductor. So somebody's really famous and well-known, then the conductor becomes a maestro. But it's basically the same thing, the leader of an orchestra. All right, a few more jobs for you. This person is on a construction site. This is the leader of the construction site. So if you are perhaps a construction site for a building, there are going to be different people working at that construction site, but this person is the leader. They're going to be telling people what to do, where to go, and this is the person that you would want to talk to. They are the leader at this construction site. What do you call that person? Now that I'm getting into a little more advanced words, I hope that you said, or if you knew it, yes, Caravan, perfect. It's a foreman. A foreman is the person who is the boss at a construction site. So typically every construction site has a foreman. The difference between, I see some people like an engineer, an engineer I think would be somebody who does some of the designs, and they would also be at the construction site, but the foreman is the actual person who is the boss of the construction and the building that's going on, as you can see, like that crane in the back there. So a foreman would be the boss. This next person works in a funeral home. And when somebody dies, there is a funeral for this person. This job, this person is responsible for making sure that the body of the dead individual looks nice and presentable. Because at some funerals, people might go around and there is a casket which is open, and people might go and look at the body. So this person their job is to make sure that the body looks kept and looks presentable for the funeral. Do you guys know? What do you call that? It's a very specific job because, again, I'm talking about a very specific situation. All right. Excellent. Yes. So the job that I have is a mortician. Now, a mortician, this is the person that if you are having, if there's somebody that would make sure that the body looks presentable, you would call them a mortician. An undertaker is the same thing. The word undertaker is a bit more informal, and it's actually a euphemism for mortician. So I think of if somebody is talking about their job and this is what they do, I think they're more likely to say that they are a mortician instead of using the word undertaker. Both of them mean the same thing, but undertaker is definitely a bit more informal. All right, the next job that I have for you is, this is a person that if you have a position that is very high up in a company and they need to fill that position, this person will go around and look for qualified people to fill a position at a company. And I'm talking about positions that are very high up there, CEO, CFO, a really high manager, and it's a very important position. And instead of them like trying to just find many different applicants, they will hire somebody to go look for the best people to do this for this job. So what do you call that kind of person that would go around and search for high-level individuals? All right. Excellent. Yes, Sarah. The job is a headhunter. So again, specifically, a headhunter is talking about somebody who would look for high-level positions. Because I know some of you put down a recruiter. The difference is a recruiter would look to fill many different positions, whether it's a high position or a low position. Headhunters specifically look for high-level positions like CEOs, CFOs, COOs. I'm doing all these acronyms. Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer. Those are high-level, high-paid positions, and you want to find the most qualified people. So the company may go look for a headhunter in order to find those people. So it's a good word to know. All right. Again, these are a little more advanced. The next position is somebody who works at a bar, and it's really the bartender's assistant. What would you call the assistant of a bartender? And you might not know this word unless you have had a job and you've worked at a bar, or maybe if you've just spent a lot of time at a bar. A bartender, I think you know what somebody who works at a bar and they serve drinks, but sometimes bars can get really busy. And the bartender would have an assistant, and this assistant would be, maybe they would be collecting cups or glasses and cleaning them. They would change the kegs. If one keg ran out, they'd go get the other one and they'd change it real quickly. They'd go restock alcohol bottles that are empty. All right. What do you think? All right. So this, again, is a very specific word. Unless you work there, this person is called a barback. I don't know where this word came from originally, but somebody who is an assistant to a bartender would be a barback. And typically, I think of somebody who is a barback is perhaps a younger person. Maybe they don't have training or experience as a bartender. Perhaps they want to be a bartender in the future, and they start out as a barback, and they would be getting like cups and glasses. They would be restocking the shelves and bottles or changing the kegs. And you would call that person a barback. Some of you put busboy. Busboy is a little different. That's talking about somebody who would work in the restaurant. The person at a restaurant who would clean the tables would be the busboy. So this is a barback, all right? Then we have another word for you. I don't have to give you many hints. It is a doctor for the foot. All right. So if we're talking about doctors in medicine, there's many different types of doctors out there. There are many different specialties. So if you have a problem with the foot, you would go see this doctor. This is a specific doctor that you would go to for the foot. It's a foot doctor. What do you call that person? All right. I will be very impressed if some of you get this, because I think when you're talking about medicine, you can get very specific with certain specialties. So you would go see, perhaps if there is a problem with your foot, could be maybe, I don't know, you twisted it the wrong way. Perhaps even you have a fungus. I don't really know. Some of you are close. The word pediatrician, that is a doctor for children. You're talking about a children's doctor. If we're talking about a doctor for the foot, it's a podiatrist. A podiatrist is the doctor for the foot. All right, very specific. It's not a word that you're going to use or hear in everyday English. But again, it's always good to learn different words in order to build your vocabulary. So if something happened and you really hurt your foot or you needed to go get it checked out, you may go see a podiatrist. All right. So I hope that you learned some new words. I hope some of these jobs were different for you. And again, if you guys like what we do here at Interactive English, and whoa, I disappeared for a second, and you want to show us some love, you guys can check us out. We are active. We have, where we go? There I am. Okay. You can check us out. YouTube memberships, Patreon, have some. There are some patrons and YouTube members. I saw today, Lolly, Rod, somebody else I saw as well. Always appreciate your guys' support. We couldn't do all this without you. Links are in the description down below. So those are some different jobs and professions. And what I would ask all of you is to, well, let me know about your job, your profession. I love learning about all of you. Write to me in the comments. Tell me about your job, your occupation. I would just love to hear from you guys. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And let's give some shout outs. Thank you to Magali, Lali, Rod, Mohammed, Mandi, Eloisa, La Trinidad, Fazuya, Doniark, Matthias, Giovanna, Laura. What is Patreon? Patreon is just it's a platform that people can give rewards, and it's a way to support creators. But links are down in the description below if you guys want to check that out. Thank you guys, Mohammed, Albatross, Abdurrahman, Angela, Devi, I guess go on and on. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you learned some new words, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please, if you did, hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. So long.